However, is education another form of incarceration? Now, I want you to listen to your brother, whether you're white or black or Hispanic. What I have in my heart is good for all of you. Although I'm primarily interested in the suffering of my own people, yet all of humanity is lost, including white people. Now look at this. The father of Western educational philosophy, Hegel, Kant, and Dewey, all felt that blacks were inferior. Well, if that is what they believe, and they are the foundation of Western education because they are the philosophers that developed the philosophy out of which the education comes, then in order to preserve white supremacy, they must destroy a challenge to that. So the ancient history of the black man's contribution to civilization is buried. If the nose looks like our nose and some of those things, they break the nose off. If you go to the library, the museum in Cairo, Egypt, you will see the nose is gone. And the nose is gone on the Sphinx, because it was your black nose. And white folk didn't want black folk to know that they were the origin of education and civilization. White folk already know this. They know you don't know. And ain't nobody going to tell you, because they have to keep you asleep. I'm not talking about the white people that are professors and the white people that you meet. You know, they're like sort of harmless. You know, they have their function. They do what they do. And they try sometimes to be nice to you. Give you a ham sandwich and fix you up. Give you a loan. Give you a little loan at the bank and tell you how they really with you. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the boys at the top. And that's why the Bible said we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness that's up in high places. See, they already know that if they keep you asleep, white supremacy can continue to rule, and they will remain subhuman. You got to listen to what I said. They will remain subhuman.
So, as a black person, have you ever maybe taken a minute to think that the systems that we depend on, and when I talk about systems, we're talking about education system, the institutions, you know, we're talking about even healthcare as a system, we're talking about the justice department. Have you ever taken a minute to think that were they really even in the first place created, invented, constructed with the interest of a black person in mind? And what have we done as black people to try and upset the systems, to try and, rewrite history so that it gives us the justice that we too, as black people, deserve? Minister Louis Farrakhan is raising a very important point here, that a lot of black thinkers and activists and even ordinary people have been debating, for quite some time, that what happens when the systems that are shaping your life were originally never built with your freedom in mind? What really happens? Let's continue to watch. I'll be back with some more good analysis.
The Bible calls the rulers of this world under the name beasts. 4 great beasts from Revelation and the book of Daniel. Go back and look at it. To call a human a beast means that they have not evolved yet. To become a human being, they stopped at the level of a beast, starting in the Genesis as a snake. Growing into a dragon and a beast in Revelations. And they become the teachers. So the Bible said the mark of the beast was in our forehead and in our hands. Walk the streets and see if you don't see bestiality. How could you drive by and shoot? The gun may be defective, and they bring stuff in your community that ain't right, so you can't shoot straight. But you think you got protection, you shooting at this man, end up killing a baby over here. That's bestiality, brother. What mark is in your head where an old man can go to the grocery store and you see him coming out with his groceries hobbling? You don't offer to help him to his car. You beat him down and you take his money. And he asks you, why are you doing this to me? Lou Palmer, a black man who stood in this city, was on the radio preaching to us to make us a better, more conscious people. And in his old age, he walks the street and a young man came up and tried to rob him and knocked him down. And he said, but I'm Lou Palmer. Nigga, I don't give a damn who you are. What kind of mark is in your forehead? What kind of mark is in your hands? You're worse than a dog, because a dog will protect its young. Go around the female dog when she has her pups. She don't know you, see her growl, and don't come too close, because in the nature of life she will protect the young. But look at you. Look at you. You bring a strange man in the house while your young daughters are growing up, coming into puberty. That wicked-minded man is romancing you, and as he's dancing with you, he's looking at your daughter. You got to go to work while that man sits around looking at the TV. And your fine-looking daughter, whose breasts are bigger than yours, and she's 11 and 12 years old, because she's loving it. Eating at McDonald's and eating at Wendy's and eating at Pepe's and eating in all these fast food joints. It tastes good. But what's happening to your child? Some of you older people in here, you had your cycle at 12, 13, and 14. Now these children are having their cycle at 9 years old with a Barbie doll in one hand and a maxi pad in another. Know how to protect themselves, and you are not there to protect them. Most of our women have been abused by an uncle, a father, grandfather, cousin, brother. There's no sanctity here for young girls. And sometimes the mother is so damn weak that even when the daughter would tell her what the man did, she'll make excuses for the man. You've lost your sense of protection. And the man don't give a damn about protecting you no more. He don't have it in him no more. He's become a beast in human form. Or what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called a savage that has lost the knowledge of himself and is living the life of a beast. See? That's bestial for President Bush and Donald Rumsfeld and Colin Powell and the boys to see a toothless tiger in Iraq, but see the second largest oil reserve on the planet, and then go and drop bombs and call it awe and shock on innocent people under the pretext that he had weapons of mass destruction. And now our children are over there, black, white, and brown, dying for nothing. They have every right to kick an occupier out of their land.
That's right. That's right.
As Malcolm would say, by any means necessary. You got a beast at the top. You got beasts on the police force. You got beasts in politics. You got beasts in education. See you rising too fast, drop a lug on you, blow your mind.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday's New York Times, black men coming out of prison.
That's right.
White men coming out of prison have a better chance of getting a job than a black man coming out of prison, and they got a better chance of a black man who's never been to prison. I didn't write it. There's a beast out here somewhere, and they've made you like themselves. You need somebody to raise you from that condition. I seek refuge in the Lord of the dawn from the mischief of created things. The last thing I'm going to talk about is food. You have to eat. That's natural to sustain your life. Some of us are learning how to eat better. Oh no, I won't touch that. Thank you very much. I'm healthy now because I have changed my diet. Are you really? Are you really? You made a right step, you changed your diet. But who's in control of food production? Not you. Not me, not us. So let's kill them through the food.
That's right.
We grow the food. We have to get it to the market. By the time it gets to the market, it'll be rotten. So let's put it in some solution. It looks good at the supermarket. We pluck the fruit just before it's ripe, and we got to get it from California and Florida to Chicago and Detroit. So let's put a little dye in it, make it look orange, make it look yellow, make the banana look yellow. Let's fix the meat and make it look red and bright. And then you eat it, and all of a sudden, in the 40s and the 50s, cancer was a white man's disease.
Right.
Now we own it. Lung cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer. We're dying and don't even know why. It's coming through what you eat and who's producing it for you. There's a little video called Super Size Me. I don't know whether you saw it. But a man ate McDonald's for 30 days and damn near died. Oh, just 30 days. I'm loving it. Turn on your TV to look for your favorite program, and you're being programmed to eat and eat and eat. So we are so depressed women that don't find a decent man, women that feel that their life is spent. So let's eat, 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 eat. To one side of you is on the Atlantic Ocean, and the other side of you is in the Pacific, and you waddling down the street. It's the food, it's a lack of exercise, lack of value for yourself. You've been devalued as a human being, so why bother to have a checkup once a year? Why bother with that? Ain't nothing wrong with me. I just had sex last night. Damn, ain't nothing wrong with me. I was at it for several hours last. Ain't nothing wrong with me. You get a checkup. I'm sorry, I have to make it funny. But learning should be fun. Learning should be pleasurable. Now, I want to say something to the doctors. My good friend is a doctor and a great one, but the medical profession is death itself. I'm going to talk about the profession for a minute, Doc. Yes, sir. Something wrong with me. Yes, what is it? Oh, really? Let me write this prescription. You go get your pills. Then they send you home with a document. You may not read it. These are the side effects: nausea, dizziness, loss of hair. But don't worry about that. Take the medicine. It will ease what you're suffering. Do you know that the drug companies have made a pill for everything? You can't sleep? Here's a pill. You want to stay awake? Here's another one. You can't get it up? Try this. You having a problem? You got a cold, you got a sneeze, you need this. Well, take a pill. But there's something in nature that can heal everything. And guess what? On television last night, on CNN, there was a black family. Brought their mother to the hospital for a little simple thing in her leg.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they injected her wrongly with a chemical that is meant for external use to destroy all bacteria on the outside. They injected it with this woman on the inside.
Speak to us, sir. Speak to us.
Oh my God. Now the leg is in excruciating pain. It's dying, so they come to the family and say, well, look, we got to cut off her leg, because if we don't, she's going to die. The family, faced with that decision, say, okay, cut off the leg. We want to save our mama. So they cut off the leg. A few days later, we got to cut off the other one. Then after a while, they fessed up. We made a mistake. And the poor woman died after 19 days of suffering, only going into the hospital for a little thing, end up dead because of medical mistakes. Now, I want to show you something here. According to that program, between 40 and 96,000 people die every year from a medical mistake, more than people die in accidents.
Yes, sir.
So when you send yourself to the hospital, you better be careful. That's why when I go, my daughter who's a nurse, she comes and the guards come. I'm just telling you the truth. Happened to me, there'll be a lot of funerals up in that damn hospital. I was in a hospital one night, and somebody came in the middle of the night gonna take blood. My daughter woke up because she was sleeping right beside me. Yes, what is it that you want? I just got to take blood. Okay, well, you won't take none tonight. You're excused. They had already taken blood. I'm a person, man, that they want dead. But you would be wise to keep me alive, because if you keep me alive, you might have a chance to live. But if you kill me, I feel sorry for what's going to happen. You see, I'm going to say this and I'm going to get up off it. See, there are very few men of God anywhere in America, but I am one. And I have a God with me who will get you for bothering with me. You can take it or let it alone. Try me and see. Because of incidents like that, the malpractice insurance have reached the limit. A doctor, I went to the University of Chicago hospital. When my back went out, they had to take x-rays and MRI. It was just a disc that had become inflamed. And so I went there, and the doctor, who's a very great neurologist from Iran, he told me, he says, the malpractice insurance for us in this field is $250,000.
A year.
A year. A year! He said, so we had 200 and some odd doctors in this field. Now it's cut in half because the doctors are fleeing Chicago and Illinois to practice in Milwaukee or Wisconsin because the malpractice insurance is $30,000 a year. So you're being deprived of doctors in a big city like Chicago. Now watch how they work. You go to the hospital, how does the doctor make his money to pay that? I have a look. Let's operate. I have a little murmur in the heart. Well, I'll fix it. Sometimes operations are not necessary. But the more we operate, the more money we get. Then I can pay my malpractice. See, most of you, when you come out of these colleges, you get grants because you ain't got no money to come. So by the time you come out, you're in debt. Debt is another form of slavery. So I become a lawyer. As a doctor leaves college, he's over $100,000 in debt. Well, then you're a slave to a system now. Think about what I'm saying. This is not an act, something helter-skelter. This is by design. You're a lawyer? Yes, I just graduated from Howard Law School. And I just took my examination at the bar. I left the bar on the corner, but I couldn't pass that one up. But praise God, I just passed my bar exam. I'm now a lawyer, able to practice law. But I owe several thousands of dollars. Now a poor man comes to me. Sir, I need a lawyer. Yes, come right in. Come right in. Yes, well, that will be $5,000 down, and of course, so many hours. See, they have to charge you in order to pay their debt and keep their office open. But in the meantime, the poor are getting poorer and less service. We have to break this paradigm. Now follow this. Y'all all right? I'm about to go now. You got enough to think on. God willing till I get back. If they will have me back, but if they won't, you got enough. Now watch this. You've learned how to eat, but you don't own any land. So you are being fed. And when your mouth is in somebody else's kitchen, you can't be free. What's the solution? I'm not a racist. I'm not a hater. But I would love to see white people stay white. And you know what? The Aryan nation approves of me for that. They say, we like that Farrakhan guy. Because our daughters are safe if that man keep preaching that talk. Now listen to this. I put it in a way that makes it kind of comical, but seriously, that's a way to damage race relations. See, there are forces at the top who are pushing this against the good of white people and against our good too. See, and those that control media, see, it was one time when you were not there. Now they got you in a romantic setting in the days of our lives, and as the world turns and the guiding light and the general hospital, which is where you're going to end up. And now they got these romances with a black woman with a white man with a black woman. Guess who's coming to dinner? See? And to some of us, that's nice. Isn't that nice? Ain't that sweet? But white folks who are conscious say, who's promoting this? It's the same people that are promoting that are promoting homosexuality and lesbianism. When I was coming up, even if you were gay, you hid that thing. That was really in the closet. And to prove that you was a man, you would carry a piano on your back. But today, they promote it as a lifestyle and a culture. Politically powerful. But it's Sodom and Gomorrah again. Okay. Now here's the radical thing that I want to talk about. How can the medical profession survive if malpractice insurance keeps going up and a good doctor like Dr. Terry Mason has to struggle to pay his overhead? And sometimes they put you in an HMO where you can't talk about the doctor that you want. You got to take the doctor that's given to you. Whether you agree with that or not, that's your health plan. 40 million Americans don't have no health insurance, and the hospitals don't even want to deal with you if you ain't got no money or no insurance. Cuba is offering black people in America 500 scholarships to make doctors. You have to pay for nothing. Cuba has more doctors per 100 persons than any country on the earth. And Cuba sends her doctors throughout Central America, South America. You'll find them in Africa, you'll find them in Asia, delivering very good service to suffering people. When I got sick, Fidel Castro said, look, come here. We will look after you. Do you know that Cuba has some of the finest laboratories for creating vaccines? Their vaccines have no contamination, but America produces no vaccine that doesn't have some degree of contamination. So you think you're getting a polio shot, you're getting cancer. You think you're getting another shot and you're getting AIDS. Now, if these people have not changed, then why is Africa now having a pandemic of AIDS? When I was in Zimbabwe, the biggest business there was making coffins. 5,000 dying a week, 20,000 a month. Well, just count the numbers, figure that up, and how long will Zimbabwe be black? South Africa, 40% in certain areas with HIV/AIDS. You got political power, but the economics is still in the hands of the same people that had it during apartheid, and they want to strip you of political power by reducing your numbers dramatically. This is warfare, and you don't even know that you're at war. Why do you think the scripture says, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of Satan? Now, I'm saying this because it's going to get radical in a few days. We don't need, listen to me good, we do not need the state of Illinois or America to give us accreditation. See, once you come out of her, you can see possibilities. As long as you wait for them to give you accreditation, who the hell are they to accredit you if you're free? If you're free, you give yourself accreditation. Now, we don't want inferior education and inferior teachers. Well, these are the standards, sir, if you want accreditation. Well, our standards should be higher than theirs. And once you say, see, but you're not able to say that now because you're not truly independent, so you have to go along with that. But I'm saying a time is coming where you say, look, we don't need your accreditation. And at the same time, there's another time coming where we don't need them to make you a doctor on paper when you are already a doctor. Don't give them authority over you. They don't have no authority over you, but the authority that you give them. And when you rebel, they don't know what to do. Because then you ain't they nigger no more. My niggas don't rebel. My niggas acquiesce. Well, I want to be free. I don't want them telling me what my standard should be when my standard is the excellence of God. I don't want them accrediting me. Elijah Muhammad set up a school. He didn't beg them for accreditation, but we came out of that school superior to what was in the public school. Because we wanted something good for ourselves that they don't want for us. We need more doctors. We need more doctors. You know how you get a doctor? Here's one. Elijah Muhammad said, give me one, and from that one, I'll get 100. Give me one nurse, and I'll make 100. Give me one engineer, and I'll make 100. We don't need them. We need to see. Yeah, take the damn school from you. Well, if you're not going to bow, you got to get out. Well, you wasn't in the first place. Brother, let me say this. What the hell is this? But you like it? It looks nice. It is nice. It's a beautiful place. They're going to soon make one better. But suppose we got together and had an online university where people can sit and have classes in every discipline and don't have to leave their home. See, the moment you outthink the enemy, he'll give you this. Either you're being educated or you're not being educated. And I can prove that you're not being educated. You know how I know you're not being educated? Because you're not productive. Excuse me for raising my voice. I'm just so fired up this morning. I'm closing. But listen, family, listen. If you travel in Africa, you travel in the Caribbean, you travel in the ghetto, you don't find us doing business. It's the Koreans, the Arabs, other ethnic groups coming in, Asians, providing you with your service. You want hair? We got plenty, come. You want weave? We got weave. We weave you up. Unbelievable, yes it is. What do you want? Baby, we got it. You want nails? We give you long nails. You want shoes? You want, what you want? Credit? We got it for you. Well, what's wrong with you? You can't create no business for yourself? See, when you go into a community and others are doing business and you are the consumer, know that you are dead. Go in the Caribbean, see who's doing business. It's the Indians, the Arabs, the Chinese, the Lebanese, the whites. And black folk have a few stores, but the majority of the stores, those groups doing business. Go to Africa. See who's doing business. Same group. Go to Haiti. Who's doing business? Who's doing business? Is it you? Well, look. Business is the activity of life. If you're a living man, you're doing business. If you're not a living community, you're not doing business. And business means you're providing the essentials of life, the necessities for yourself and your people: food, clothing, shelter. You're not doing this with all your doctorate degrees, your master degrees, and mostly BS degrees. I think it's time for me to go. I outstayed my welcome. But my dear family, look, I want us to mobilize, to accept responsibility to change the reality of our lives. We don't have to keep blaming white people. Listen to me, good brothers. It's so easy to point to them. Yeah, look what they did. See? But the question is not what they did, what are you doing to correct what they did? They're not going to correct it for us. That's something we have to do for ourselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there is no power in the heavens above or in the earth beneath that can stop you from achieving what God desires for you if you would get your own foot out of your own way. And this is why we're calling, in the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March, we're calling not for a march, but for the mobilization of our people to create a movement. Movement means motion toward an objective. Go look at scripture. I ain't got time to run it all down, but you keep seeing the word go, go, go. After you've been in bondage 400 years, then will I come, judge that nation that you shall serve, and afterwards shall you come out with peace, in peace, and go to your fathers and be buried in a good old age, right? Go, the prodigal son. Messed up all that he had, joined himself on to be a citizen in a strange country, fell down so bad, husking corn, feeding swine, and then one day a famine arose and it caused him to think, and he said, I think I will arise and go to my father. This motion toward an objective that is in your best interest. Oh, don't you want to go? See, don't you want to go to that promised land where all is peace? See, you got to go. You got to get up from where you are. You got to come out of this and start moving, and God will give you the wisdom to make a new paradigm for education. And guess what? When you do it, the whites too will say, I want that. I want to come out of incarceration in the prison of white supremacy, because that educational paradigm has made me subhuman and I have not realized my full potential. So I would hope that somebody would free me from thinking that I'm better than others simply because I'm white. So when white children think that way and a black child beats them in a spelling contest, or an Indian child wins the spelling bee, what happened to white supremacy? See, it blows their mind. How did he do that when we are the goose that laid the golden egg? See, you're messing with their minds. But if you were to develop what God has put in you to do, you would never repeat that history of mistreating others for your own self and selfish purposes. You would make an educational system that would not only free you, but it would free the latent and dormant qualities in every human being. And that's why God said he would choose the foolish things, and they would be his people, and he would be their God. And thou wilt no longer be last, the last shall be first, and thou shalt no longer be the tail shall become the head. And this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. The day is soon coming when a doctor of the great skill of this man will have in his classroom hundreds, and they study under him, and he'll make doctors who are urologists, and other doctors will make doctors who will look at your breast and deal with cancer. You make nurses, you make engineers, you make scholars. All we need is one who is dedicated and want to come out and build them, and then send them to the community. And don't let the enemy say he's not accredited by us. We stand up and say we accredited him. That they'll back away from you. Get up, black man and woman, and let's get some health from our head to our foot, and let's offer health and well-being to everyone that seeks it and needs it if we have it.
All right, now what Minister Louis Farrakhan in this lecture is really talking about is systemic dependency. He's arguing that many of the institutions today, that Black people rely on, we're talking about education, health, food systems, even employment structures, were never truly designed to empower Black communities in the first place. And honestly, when you look at history, there is a lot of truth to that conversation. He points out that modern Western education systems were shaped during times when many influential thinkers, were openly believe, were people who openly believe that Black people were inferior or Black people did not deserve the education in the first place. So his argument is simple. If the foundation in itself to this education, this history that we consume today was biased, then parts of the systems today can still carry the biases, because have we really done anything to correct the system, And that's why many people feel schools often teach Black people how to function inside the system, but do not necessarily teach them how to fully understand their own history, their own power, or even the potential that Black people have in the first place. And right there, that's a very powerful point. He also talks about what he calls the bestial the direction of society, meaning a society losing morality, protection, community values, basically, You can actually see what he means when, poor communities are overpoliced, under, funded, and then they are judged for struggling, most of formerly incarcerated people can barely find jobs. Sometimes they have to go 2 times. As a Black person, you have to work 2 times as hard as a white person to get the same as what a white person would get. And families are actually now pushed into survival mode. And meanwhile, corporations, the biggest culprits here, and the politicians and the so-called the elites of this modern society, they continue to profit from instability. Ironically, that's like traders selling umbrellas during a storm that they helped to create. And then Farrakhan also highlights or shifts to food and health. And again, this is a conversation many people are having today globally. Cheap food is often the most chemically processed food. But then poor communities usually get the lowest quality nutrition or this kind of the cheapest food and the worst healthcare access, and the highest rates of chronic diseases are actually found in these poor communities. So when he criticizes these greedy, profit-driven healthcare systems, he's saying that human health basically should matter more than corporate money, more than corporate profits and greed, But, still, probably the strongest part of his message, and, this is where I think we all need to pay attention to, is independence, or rather economic independence as minorities, as Black people across the world, globally. He argues that real freedom is impossible without ownership. Ownership of land, ownership of systems, ownership of businesses, ownership of education, ownership of resources. Because if another system controls your food, your education, your job, your economy, your health, then really we can basically say that your survival always depends on somebody else's decisions, And whether I'd say, or my argument would be, whether people agree with every single thing Farrakhan says or they do not agree, one thing is clear. And his core message is about self-reliance, especially for Black people. You know, community organization and Black people building systems that genuinely serve their own interest, you know, instead of waiting for institutions to suddenly become fair. Because Black people have waited for a long time. They have spoken for a long time. But very little to none has eventually changed towards fairness. In fact, the only times when Black people could have or could say they got something is when they had to sacrifice, they had to fight, they had to force the systems to change. But really waiting for these institutions um, to change, you know, to suddenly become fair, to level the ground for everybody to have a fair starting point, I think it might never really happen. And that's really the heartbeat of what Minister Louis Farrakhan was trying to educate us in this video. Yeah. And that is my take on it. I hope you learned something. And if you did, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have something you want to add, let me know what you think about this video, your thoughts and your opinions. Leave me a comment below and subscribe to the channel if it is your first time. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for always, popping by to show support. I really, really appreciate. So with that, I'll see you in my next video.